So one thing about product management also is that you have to learn how to say no without making the person feel like you're saying no.
Hi, welcome to the Girl by STEM Careers Limited series, where we geek about careers in tech, where we break them down to understandable chunks so you properly can understand what exactly they do, what they mean, how you can get into these fields, and also begin to explore how you can use this knowledge to drive professional growth and changes in your communities. Today's guest is Ezi Fredrick. Now, a bit about Ezi so we understand. We're talking about, so just for context, talking about product management today, Ezi. Ezi is a project manager with years of experience building digital products. Funny enough, she started her career as a nurse, but that was actually helpful because it helped her shape her focus on understanding people and solving real problems that impact everyday lives. Ezi has led end-to-end product development for platforms and apps used by over 440,000 users and 1,600 businesses. Her work has reduced operational delays, improved user experience, and delivered measurable results across healthcare and SaaS products. Ezi has also held a position in the people in products community, and she's also a dedicated impact associate here at the Girl Project, where she equips young girls with technical and leadership skills. Now, outside of work, Ezi enjoys painting, exploring new places, and trying new experiences. She's passionate about her faith and driven by a desire to create a meaningful impact through both her work and personal life. Ladies and gentlemen, Ezi. Hello.
Hi. Hello. I'm glad to be here. Was that all of me? I'm like, oh, okay.
Yes, it was. When I was reading it, I was like, wow, 140,000. That is impressive. That is an impressive number. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We don't look like what we are going through, but yeah.
Never do. We never do. Okay, great. So, where do we start from? I think let's start from the obvious question, which is what is product management?
Okay. Simply put, product management is helping people decide what to build, right? Why you're building what you're building and making sure that whatever you're building is solving a problem, at least multiple problems if possible, and working together with designers and engineers to bring this to life. So you're just solving problems that people have, day-to-day problem, digital problem, any kind of problem. That's what product management is.
Okay. When you say helping people decide what to build, I feel like in my mind, if somebody wants to build something, they already have a sense of what they want to build. So how exactly does that work?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, most people have sense of what they want to build, right? But they might not know how or the impacts of what they want to build, right?
Okay.
Might not be able to figure out why they're building what they're building. These days, some people are kind of more focused on solutions. Like, I just want to own a product, or I just want to have a startup, or I just want to do this, right? I feel like product management is helping you to know and decide, like, figure out if this solution that you have in mind is solving real problems, right? Because of the product management processes, you are identifying who the users are, you're identifying what their pain points are,
Yeah.
trying to know if I decide to bring this product to the market, are people even going to pay for this product? How much are they willing to pay for the product? Like, those are the kind of questions that product management help these founders or anyone who has like a product idea to figure out, right? And to also help them know when they bring this product out, how would they know that this solution is really solving the problem that they claim or they think they're going to solve, right? So having all these things at least is what product management help in the business. Yeah.
Wow. Because I thought that product management used to only sit at the beginning of the product design experience. But from what you explained, it feels like every chunk of the way, even after the product is released, the product managers are still in the conversation.
We are everywhere. So I think this is one thing that makes it quite different for project management. For product, there's majorly like a timeline. You have a project at the start. And it's most times does not happen like that. So when you have a product and you've able to identify all of those things I initially mentioned, and the
Mhm.
product is in the market, I feel like that is when one of the most like that's where your work actually even start more
When it
because
goes to market.
yes. So you need to now start analyzing how people are using it to know, okay, I predict that we can have like 50,000 downloads. And then when people download, they will definitely sign up and eventually do all of these things. And in the end, pay. Okay. So,
Yeah.
isn't it okay? Did they actually download the stuff? If people are not really downloading as you expect, why are they
Why
not?
not?
Oh, people actually downloaded. Why are they not signing up? Or why are they not eventually making, if it's like an e-commerce, why are they not eventually making the purchases, right? So
Yeah.
you're figuring all these things out. And whatever answers you get for what you're figuring out will now help you to know what you need to iterate, what you need to change, and what you need to build next, right? Because it is all about improvements. You take something out, you notice how people are using it, you then make changes based on what you notice. And then you speak to people, oh, what more will you want to see about this? The product could be great, but people are like, I feel it can be better. Right. So speaking to users to know, okay, what can we improve better? That's why you keep saying the very practical example, the iPhone, they keep releasing every year. Yeah, definitely they go through all this process, right? And they're saying,
Yeah.
I wish the camera could be better because you can't compare the iPhone maybe 8 to what we currently have now. There's a lot more of improvement. And
Yeah.
these are actually improvement that came as a result of analyzing how people are using it or speaking to people to know what they think they could do better, right? So until the product eventually dies, right? Because there are products that they discontinue. There are a lot of products that have been discontinued. Yeah. So until the company decides that, you know what, we're no longer doing this or we are shutting down, we are closing out, that's when product management stops. But then it's just a continuous process.
So a couple of things are going through my head. One is when people think about tech, for example, I
Yeah.
think people have this assumption that there's zero human interaction or relation in building tech products or sustaining it.
Wow.
But from speaking with you and also speaking with like the UI UX engineer we had, it's making me realize that you need to sort of have the human interaction to properly figure out what you need to build. And from your point, how you grow or expand what it is that you have built. And so that's something that I never thought of. I mean, probably because we saw everybody in tech was engineers, and engineers are the people who probably have limited people interface. But from what I'm hearing with you, it feels like there's constantly a lot of people things that are happening in product management, which probably explains why you have the 155 meetings every day.
Honestly, right? I feel like the bulk of product management is talking. If you know that you don't want to talk, I don't think product management is good for you because that's how you get answers. That is how you decide what you want to build. That is how you solve problems that people are having, right? So you talk to
Yeah.
everybody actually, right? I understand that for the technical part of it, right? The building of the product itself, yes, they're technical, the designs and all of that. But before that happens, we need to realize that these are going to be used by human beings, right?
Yeah.
We are making these human beings. And who best to understand humans than humans, not the machines? So we have to talk to people, right?
So you need more people talking, apparently, then.
Yeah, because you're building the product for people. So you need to understand what their problems are, right? So talking to
Yeah.
them actually, yeah, it's actually important. And also because it's a business, every business have a goal. It could be that that year, the North Star metric of the company could be that they just want to increase their NPS. They want people to refer their family, friends, pets, everyone to use their products, right? So whatever thing that you're building at that particular time, you need to ensure that it is going to be in line with the company's goal. So you could be looking for a solution to the product to help reduce costs,
Yeah.
but it's not in line with what the company wants. So it is these meetings and communications that will help you to ensure that whatever you're working on is actually in line so that you succeed. Because when companies succeed, that's when you're succeeding. So yeah.
Okay. So that sounds very interesting. It almost sounds like consulting. So sometimes when somebody comes, a company comes with their problem and then they think this is the problem they are having. But by further speaking to the consultant, they sort of realize that, okay, this is not the actual problem. This is an offspring of deeper problem, which is XYZ. But it's by having conversations and asking inquiry questions that people sort of, as they dig deeper, they sort of realize that, okay, maybe this is not the problem I'm having. This is actually the problem I'm having. And this is what I should be solving for as well. And then also sometimes people come with there's this thing where maybe the CEO or the chief people officer, or maybe in your case, the chief technology officer comes with a problem and they are the solo flyer. So that's when you now start asking questions like, okay, what's your company strategy? What's your company vision? What's your company budget? Because this thing you are selling or you want to build might not be aligned, like you said. And so if we start building and then your CEO wakes up and is like, oh, I'm not interested in what it is you're building because it's not aligned with what I want. You wasted everybody's time. That's interesting. So I think one particular aspect I just want to pick on and maybe narrow down a bit on is when you are helping people discover what they actually need to build for, what they actually need to solve for, and how to solve what they want to solve for. What does that look like?
Okay. So there are two major questions that a product manager usually asks often and often.
Okay.
Like just two words. You see, what and why. What and why. Those things can come up in conversation a lot.
Okay.
Or how, most times the how is left for the engineers.
Yeah.
It's left for them. But before we get to the how, we need to figure out the what and the why. Okay, let me just use a practical example for this period. Okay, I think people are having issues with getting money from the bank.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think so? So asking these people this question, we will help them to realize and understand more about the problem. Like, oh, because I've seen a lot of people having to queue up at ATMs and
Yeah.
really convenient. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, how many people have you seen? Oh, yeah, they say how. Like, how many people? So you ask all these questions, right? And aside that, yeah, there's something we called also competitive. Yeah, well, before we even get there in the first place, right? There are quantitative data that we need to like look out for, like numbers. How many people or how many times have we ever seen people really queue up on the ATM? How many times have people tried to get money from the banks and there was maybe a network failure, or maybe there's just a bottleneck, right? Like you tend to ask, okay, how often does this happen? Who and who are affected? Like what class of people, what category, what biography, right? All of those things are what we're looking out for. And getting that the quantitative data will help you to see, okay, these are the numbers. And if we have this much numbers out of maybe a population of 10, for instance, you discover that 7 out of these 10 people have this problem. What about solution that you think that you want to provide will seem viable because the problem actually exists, right?
Yeah.
So having to do that data analysis, having to empathize with the people, having to speak to them also, right? That is generally what it just inquires. There's a lot of question asking, right? There's a lot of data seeking. There's a lot of seeing, okay, who else have figured out this problem and thought of a solution and is currently working? You check out what they are doing. Is there anything that is different from what we want to do? Right?
Yeah.
So that we call comparative analysis. So all of those things are what you gather and put together, and then you now decide, all right, I think this is what's working on. I think this is what's building. Yeah. So that's how it actually just goes.
That there's a common thread then around figuring out what's happening in the market already, learning from what already exists.
Yeah.
I think I don't know where it is from, but there's this thing of there's nothing new under the sun. Everything is already something's already there, or something that is already there. So just figure out how they are doing their stuff, what you can learn from it, how you can also make yours better as well. Because it could be there, but maybe in a different market, for a different demographic, for a different group of people. And that is now where you sort of build from. Okay, that's interesting. And I'm guessing that the market analysis is being done by data analysts and probably people you get into.
We have researchers actually, because I have worked with a researcher before, right? But most company, I don't think they actually have like a specialized researcher, but it's still a function of the product manager. It's still your duty to carry that out and see, okay, who and who is doing this, right? And to mention about there's nothing new under the sun, sometimes you might not even have something new that you're doing better. It could just be that you want to make your customer representative or your customer support better than what is doing. You are doing the exact same thing. You are having the same product, you're having the same features, everything. But there's just one little part that you see, okay, I think maybe during the operational part, there is a lot of delay in this aspect and you feel that you can do that better, right? The product might actually just be the same because there are products out there that they are like identical. It could just be the logo and color that is different. But if you check it out, there is something in their services that make people to choose this particular product over the product. Yeah. Initially, I used to be of school of thought that if you don't have anything better to add to your product, I honestly was of that school of thought that there's no need. You need to do something better than competitors. But right now, it doesn't even have, you just have to be the same thing. People will choose what they want to choose, right? It's just that they have to be like some unique services, right? That
Yeah,
you're offering that will make people want to choose your product or choose your services over the other person's service. So yeah.
that's great. So when that happens, you go into the market, you see that there are actually 7 out of 10 people who are queuing, and then you work with the problem owner, for lack of better terms, the client or maybe your company to sort of figure out, okay, this is the problem I want to solve. And then you agree because there's 7 out of 10, there's actually a problem to solve. I'm guessing you then go to the UI UX designers next or the engineers. How does that, where are we going to next?
Okay, sorry, I left them out. I am working together with my designers at that point, right? So the designer needs to also understand all of this thing. The designer needs to hear from the user themselves.
Yeah.
Because when you are talking to someone and you're asking sort of like open-ended question, tell me how exactly you get money these days. And they'll be like, I have to tell my friend to withdraw more than she needs or I'll transfer to her. And then when she gives to me, I just pay her some percentage more.
Yeah.
So having them give you that idea and having your designer also on that, maybe if it's a focus group or interview that you're having, is kind of giving you an idea on how exactly you want to design the solution, right?
Yeah.
I am not leaving them behind. So I'm carrying
Yes.
them along. Alongside, when we figured all of this thing out, we've taken this feedback to our stakeholders. I mean, the
Yeah.
owners of the company, those people that employed you. And they're like, okay, I think we've seen the designs, we've seen all of these things, we've done usability testing, everything looks okay, right? At that point also, we are also involving the engineers because there's a specific tech stack that they kind of use, or there's some for them to figure out if there'll be any technical constraint with the kind of idea that we are trying to bring out, right? Let us not think of building maybe a second, what's something crazy that I want to think about? Maybe you're thinking of building an LLM with the capacity of maybe a calculator app, for instance. So they'll be the ones who are like, okay, there's some constraint here. Oh, this is what we can do now. This is what we might outsource. I need to start API to do this. So they'll be the ones to make the decision. So they also have to be involved at that
Yeah.
phase. But I mean, feel like segmented. We need to like figure out some things first before we involve them. But everybody, like, I don't have to go and figure everything out, then come give to them, yeah, build this. No, that's not how it works. So we all work together, there's collaboration. That's where the plenty meetings again. I'm going to keep referring to that. So imagine all these different things you need to figure out. Your whole meetings, mind you, right? At the point you're doing that, the company already have like some ongoing projects that you're doing. So there are some that are already being developed, which you have to have constant meeting to ensure that it is meeting whatever criteria that you've
Yeah.
placed, right? While you're still figuring out new ones. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that definitely, what you just described definitely sounds, I think I can see the fun aspect and the not too bad aspect. I can't imagine talking and talking and talking. But anyways,
Yeah.
it is what it is. It is what it is. You use some words that I'm sure people don't understand. And funny enough, I don't remember too. But I think you said API, but that's more of like an engineering.
Yeah. So you know how, okay, let me just use Uber, for instance. We have the Google Map.
Yes.
So it's not like Uber try to build that Google Map themselves, right? They ask Google to like, "Oh, we want access to your app so that our drivers will be able to navigate." So
Yeah.
that's access. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to use simple terms. So you having to maybe like the link, for instance, that they ask that so that they don't have to end up building a whole
Yeah.
navigation system before they start building Uber app themselves, right? So that is what the API does. So it helps to reduce a lot of technical workload. If you feel like this particular part exists and you can afford the API, right? And then you just like, let's just pay for this service and then we focus on what our real product is all about.
All right, that's helpful. And in product management, what are like 2 or 3 bottlenecks, like challenges that you see every day, you face every day with your work?
Decision.
I feel like there's an arrow on my head for this. So before context, right? We're currently building our website together. And I think it's so funny because Ezi will be like, "Hi Faith, You said we wanted XYZ. Please, can I have it?
That is not even like tough, right? That is not even like tough, but yeah, decisions. So one thing about prayer management also is that you have to learn how to say no without making the person feel like you're saying no. Sometimes, like,
That
yeah.
is a skill. Tell me more, please.
Okay, so I mean, decisions. What I mean by decisions in the technical term, I think I want to call that prioritization, right?
Okay.
If you work with people who are very, well, just say ambitious, or people always have ideas,
Yeah.
even though people don't always have ideas, when you see something that you are working on, something that you are building, you will always see something better to do to it, right? You say, okay, I want to do this, and I'm trying to show you this is what we can do. And like, "Oh, we can do this more. We can do this more," right? So
Yeah.
there are a lot of times when people will have one, two, three, four things that they want to get done, and they feel
Yeah.
like everything should get done at the same time. Now,
Yeah.
it is your duty to let them know what should come in first. And after
Okay.
that, what next? And after that, what next? Everything cannot be urgent and important at the same time. Right. So it
Yeah.
is your duty to lay it down on the table and say, okay, this is the efforts that it would take. You want us to do one, two, three. Number one is going to take us 6 months, right?
Yeah.
But it's affecting 20% of the people using the products, right?
Yeah.
Number two is going to take us 2 weeks, but it's affecting 80% of the people that want to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have everything we need to do it. But it seemed like for the business, that one that would take 6 months seemed to be like it's going to give them high revenue. And that might be what the company wants to do. So it's not up to you to let them see the possibility of how we can phase this out, how we
Yeah.
can prioritize. Okay. This one is affecting 80%, and it's going to take us just 2 weeks. Let's do this first. And sometimes, like, some people might not like, you have to just have to like convince, make the decision, right? So it is actually quite like, it's quite difficult if you're not able to communicate this. Like, if
Yeah.
you're not able to like explain even complex things in a very simple way that
Yeah.
our stakeholders will understand, and then realize, okay, let's take this decision based on this information you're giving to us, right?
Yeah.
Going to make this informed decision. Yeah. So that's to be something I learned it the hard way, but now I'm like, okay, when you're reaching out to me, I'm like, fine. First of all, I'm asking, how are you doing it right now? What's your current solution? How are you doing it? Right?
Yeah.
Maybe I could just improve on that one. I don't need to start doing something brand new for you.
Yeah.
So that's something that happens all the time. Now, I wouldn't quite say it's tough, but that's something that often happens in any product that you're working on. Yeah.
How do you deal with difficult people? Because it feels like you have a lot of stakeholders. So you have the designers, you have the engineers, you have the owner of the problem, you have the customers, you have probably, if there's a product where you need to work with a specific set of customers over a long period of time, so they experience the product, and then through their lens you can build better.
Yeah.
Also that group, probably have the finance team somewhere.
Mhm.
This feels like dealing with a lot of people. And one on the street, I'm not going to say this specific group, is that one particular group of these people can be quite challenging to deal with. So, but then again, it's actually all people, everyone comes with their own challenge. So how do you deal with difficult people?
Okay. All right. So the trick is make everybody feel like you're on their side. Like their problem is your problem. That you want the solution as much as they want the solution, right? If you make people feel like I care about what you care about, I am worried about what you're worried about, it is
Yeah.
quite easy, right? So first of all, someone is coming to you with a problem, and you're not just like dishing alternative because you're like, I know this would not work, but you first of all try to understand what this person is going through. Like, allow them to express themselves, allow them to tell you what their pain points have always been,
Yeah.
what are problems that they're not able to solve. Someone say, oh, this is affecting my KPI. If you don't do this, I'm going to lose my job. Empathize.
Yeah.
Empathy is something that you really need to have so much. Customer comes to complain that I've not been able to do this withdrawal. Empathize with them first. Make them understand that you are on their side. And the truth is, when you actually do that, it will be very easy for you to like navigate. So, I mean, yeah, there are some people that might be set on stone on however they want stuff to be done, but it is so much easier when you are not just like, again, I say, learn to tell people no without letting them know that you're telling them no, making them feel happy to accept the no that you're telling them, or maybe wait. So the no could be like, wait, not now. Okay. I mean, but it's still no, but not now. I'm making them feel like, okay, not like she's trying to neglect me, or you're trying to find an alternative. You're coming to somebody with a problem, and in your head, you feel that the only solution is for you to get me. Like the person might already have a solution in their head. Right. But
Yes.
when you listen and you discover, oh, there's an alternative that will not be so cumbersome for us to meet for you. Explain in that manner because you understand where they're coming from. They are more likely to pick that alternative over what they already think the solution should be to the problem. So yeah, that's an easy way to go about.
That requires insane people skills.
Yeah.
Insane people skills. And insane patience as well. Because I just want to get stuff done. I don't want to have a conversation. I promise you. But you have to have the conversation. You have to sit down then empathize. I understand you. I'm so sorry. Oh my god, that happened. That's unfair. That kind of thing. Before you now
Don't blame though. Now you can you are tech too. You don't have to blame them. That's on us. We did this.
that can be challenged. So you say, okay, if I was saying that's unfair, I say, oh, that must be challenging for you. I'm so sorry. That sort of thing. Language is also important when you are consoling people. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to have a technical background to go into product management? Because I know your undergrad, which we're going to come to, was in nursing.
Yeah.
Probably you said that helps you sort of understand people and understand their problem solving. But I'm sure you've met a lot of product managers over the years. Have you met some who come from arts background, social sciences background as well?
Yep. I know someone who studied psychology. Like, I feel like majority from conversations I've had with other product managers, majority of them do not actually have technical, like when you meet technical background, like they do not code or they do not know how to code. Okay. Yeah. So it's absolutely possible. However, you still need to understand how the system works for you to be successful at your job. Yeah, you need to understand. You cannot say, "Oh, I have zero knowledge," and you still don't understand what API means, or you still don't understand, like different tech stack or how to like test some things. It's going to be tough for you, right? Because you're working with these people who sometimes might not really understand.
Yeah.
You understanding how they build and being able to explain the problem, and for you also to explain or break down the complex engineering stuff to the stakeholders in a way that they understand. You need at least some knowledge in that. You need to understand how to analyze things, right? AI has made things a lot much easier these days, right? I mean, when I started, AI was not really we're just coming up also. So then it was more difficult, but now it's so much easy. Yeah, you don't need to know how to code to be a product manager, but knowing technical stuff is going to help you succeed better. So that's just a short answer. Yeah.
I think I can definitely understand that. And what are the tools you say, top 2-3 tools that you say product managers use daily?
If I put communication tool aside, I'll say documentation tools and analytic tools. So for communication tools, Slack, Teams, Google Meet, communication, And for the documentation, so we have different ones. We have the Notion, can document there. We have the Confluence itself, where you have just things that will help you to just document your findings. And then we also have product management tool like Jira and ClickUp. Like all those things help you in your day-to-day task assignments, your day-to-day monitoring of what your developers are doing, right? And then the analytic tools like the Mixpanel, Google Analytics, these help you to know how well or how bad your product is doing. It's helping you see how users are using your product. And that's where you get information about what you need to improve, what you need to work on. Yeah. So those are like some of the major things major tools that product managers use. Yeah.
Okay. That's great to know. I mean, I think once upon a time I tested ClickUp and Jira, but I didn't stay there for long. We use Notion now, and I think I find Excel actually a really good project management tool. Personally, quite to build. I don't know, probably because of my
use for.
So it's like tracking stuff. So let's say, for example, this project now that we're working on, we've put the names of everyone, we put the information, we put the different stages of the project. and then there's a drop down to click. So ongoing, completed, inactive, active, that sort of thing. And it's also easy for people to just go there and drop notes, update, and then add somebody so that Google now tells you, oh, this person has updated.
Oh,
You know, so you can literally manage a project almost like Notion actually as well, because I use Notion at work for managing a couple of the projects that I'm working on with
yeah,
some
that's
senior
good.
associates. And we've created the table, the timeline, the everything, the buckets. And so what she just does is when she's done stuff, she just puts updates it and adds it, and then Notion sends notification to say, okay, this has been done, and then I can move on from there. It's quite, yeah, it's quite,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's actually very, very similar. Okay, so this conversation actually, part of it is also relevant to secondary school girls, because you understand the context we're working in. And so far, it feels like from this conversation, what are the things that they should start taking seriously in their high school education? But I don't know. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, we're probably going to go down a rabbit hole. I think that there is more of a learning a way of thinking than being particularly good in particular subject at that point. I don't know if that makes sense. So, for example, if somebody is, let's say, nuclear physics, right? Physics, ideally at high school level, they should probably have an interest in physics, understand it, and take interest in it. However, with product management, what I'm hearing, it feels more like, yes, they should be good at English communication, but there is a way of thinking, a level of curiosity that needs to be encouraged at that level. So it's less so as subject. I mean, I don't know when I graduated secondary school, but I still remember some of the subjects. And I can see how some subjects like arts, for example, can ladder into product management. I can see how English literature and subjects across arts, social sciences, business studies, and things like that can lead up to here, because I mean, user research, market analysis is something that they tell you about in business studies. So it feels more like developing a mindset of curiosity at that level is much more important than holding on to certain school subjects. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it actually does. In the long runs, most times, whatever we learn, it has a way of influencing however we end
Yeah.
up using the skills. Yes. Things also like mathematics. You see, the logic that is attached in doing that, you actually are going to use that, right? You need to, there's a lot of understanding complex ideas, right?
Yeah.
And you actually do that in secondary school when you learn one of the
But,
subjects.
yeah.
Understanding and being able to communicate that to someone who doesn't understand and making them understand that idea, even though
Yeah.
they don't have the technical know-how.
Yeah.
That is something. English literature, because we do descriptive essays. Essays, if I can remember. I'm just saying, yeah, those are like minor, but yeah, all of those things, they have a way. If you feel like, if you know that you're someone who, like, you're good at that, you find out that, oh, it's even easier because if you're communicating not even verbally, but you're communicating via email and all of that, you need
Yeah.
to explain all of these things. Like,
Yeah.
this subject actually helps, right? Structured thinking. Okay. But oof, there are products that you have to like release in phases. Why you
Yeah.
decide to release it in phases? Like you have to just explain it. You're doing the user flow, all those
Yeah.
things. You find out that, oh, the math that you learned has a way of like helping you in making all this better and easier for you. So yes, definitely taking all those subjects. Don't feel like, oh, because I don't want to be a doctor or I don't
Just
be
correct.
a lawyer. I don't think these things are going to be useful for me. Like you wouldn't know how or when, but somehow those knowledge that you gain is really going to be helpful.
But that's a good challenge, because sometimes I think sometimes people, we are not able to sort of piece how those learns when you are a teenager helps in your career like 15 years later. For me personally, I think I can see some links between some of the courses that I did and what I do today. But for some other people, it's quite challenging to see the link. So how did you get here? Because I know that you studied nursing, and I know that you did some other things and then now you're a project manager. So walk us through how you moved from nursing to laptop.
They still use laptop in nursing these days. Long story short, I'll say curiosity. I'm actually a very curious person, right? And that is the only explanation that I can give, because my very first exposure to anything technical was I was walking down the street and I saw a flyer on the floor. That's,
Yeah.
oh, there's a free boot camp where you can learn web development, graphic design, digital marketing. First time I'm hearing any of those words, by the way. I was in nursing school and it was free. And they're like, come with your thinking cap, with your notepad. And I'm like, I have this to do on Saturday. Let's go to Saturday. Fortunately, that day was the last day to register and there was total blackout. I did not have a way to register. I had to get the phone number on the flyer and I called the person like, I want to register. You guys don't close this thing. I really didn't register. I was the last. So they actually left it one day more because of me. And oh, thank you. They left it one day more for me and I registered and it was mind blowing. But then it was just like at the back of my mind. Later, I still went back to nursing. I still, when I was done, I still practiced nursing.
Yeah.
But then at a point, I just got curious. Like, what are these 9 to 5 people even doing? What I started researching to see, okay, is there anything that I can just start and do and see how it goes? I saw a health insurance company and I applied and got the job. But the sweet thing was that it is still health related, right? Because I still need to make decision based on diagnosis, stuff like that. Like, so I was
Yeah.
nursing skill there. So it didn't feel like I kind of went just
Yeah.
okay. So that was good. And it went like as I was there, I kind of enjoyed it. But again, curiosity. They also told us project management at the boot camp. So I took more courses in project management
Okay.
and I love volunteering. So I was volunteering for some NGOs. And then I discovered, oh, this product management is actually so large and so like is a career on its own that like you need to like get licensed. Is it licensed now? There's a certification, right?
Yes.
PM.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I want to do this, you know? So, but I just took the ones that, you know, that were kind of affordable at the time for me. So a friend of mine it was like, have you heard of product management? And then, yeah. So he bought a product management course for Udemy like that day, sent me the password and everything. I'm like, okay. So I felt like I was obliged to take the course
Yeah.
because
Definitely.
me on this stuff. So let me just take it. But when I started it, I saw so much similarities and I did not like it took me like maybe 2 weeks or less than that to finish up. And I'm like, oh, this is really, really, really so. And it also encouraged me. So at the time I was so lucky that my company at the time
Yeah.
were recruiting product managers and I just transitioned. That was
Wow.
like
Wow. I mean,
yeah.
so I think for context, helpful, the bootcamp Ez is talking about is the Girl Lead 1.0 bootcamp. So that was the first bootcamp Girl Lead ever had. Yeah. And I remember the story. In fact, I've seen those pictures. If you see those pictures, we cannot be on the internet. I saw the pictures which day and I was like, wow, we've come a long I saw the pictures, I saw the videos, and but I think so fulfilling actually, personally, because you are a product of an imperfect training experience. It was just a group of, I don't think people understand.
No,
When
it
I got
was
to the others, when they did that boot camp, they were all still undergraduate students.
yeah.
So it was not like they had this huge learning experience design or they had this huge budget. I don't even know. I don't know if there was money for that boot camp or where they got it from. And it was, I think I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to, but the person, I think it was Sophie, who was explaining how Augustine did them one building in Uniben, after lobbying them, decided, oh, they can use this particular space, but they can only use it for specific hours and then they designed flyers and they shared it around and like people showed up and it was really, really nice actually. And today, this is how 10 years later, you're not just the only alumni of that particular cohort who went on to do great stuff, who stayed in tech. Some of them didn't stay in tech. And there's two of you now, I think, currently who volunteer with Girl Lead. And the other person has a really great career in international development. And it was just, I think it's really, really just brilliant to see how just that one step, that one decision, ripple effect. And we
Yeah.
are here today, like years
Mm.
later, in a different entirely field, which you feel you do well at. You are our internal product manager, so I can say you are doing you
Yeah.
are doing well at it. And it's really, really good to see. And I think it's those things that sort of inspire us to do more and want to also stay in it and also start projects like this as well.
It actually did a lot. I mean, I just cut the long story short because I still tried graphic design after school at the time, like after
Yeah.
school, like, and I made money from it, yeah. But then at the point where I was doing the customer service, I tried graphic design. I was thinking of maybe I could make a career out of that, right? But the thought of tech still didn't leave my head.
Okay.
I didn't feel like I had too much interest in software development. Okay.
Yeah.
Even if I did, I saw that there's one of like my colleague then, because of her, I feel like, okay, it is possible. If I want to do this, I know I would succeed in this, because I see how she also had the zeal and she has made such a wonderful career out of it today. I mean, we are not too close anymore. I mean, career, life and all of that, but I see what she's doing and I'm like, okay, this is great representation also. Like, this is also a product. Like, I feel if I want to do that at that time, like, I want to do it, and I know I will.
Oh yes.
I'm like doing so much, and I'm really grateful for Girl Lead for however they feel. Oh, at undergraduate they came together to you just feel like, okay, this is something that girls would need. This has
Yeah.
really me, because I mean, nursing is beautiful, it's wonderful, right? But I feel like I am enjoying this also. Maybe I didn't know if I would get the opportunity to experience this other side, this other career, or have a career option if at that early stage I didn't get the exposure, right? So it was easy for me, because if I wasn't doing project management, which was because they taught us product management as part of the boot camp,
Yeah.
maybe the have asked if I've heard of product management to like help. Yeah. So all thanks to Girl Lead also. So thank you.
Anytime, you're welcome. It's so funny because I think people think that career growth happens in large chunks, but sometimes it's just those little things. There is a flyer, then there is a course, then there's a trial and a failure, which is graphics. Then there is a conversation with a friend, which is have you heard product management? There's a course, then there is an opportunity where because you have trained and you've done 2 weeks, you can now apply for product manager in your company, and then we're talking about you now building products that has impacted almost 500,000 people across 1,600 organizations. So it's not just one thing. There is a ladder of there's this plus this and this. And it keeps on going. And I think that brings me to my next question of where do you see as young women for us? I think it's quite interesting because one of the things that started off when we started 10 years ago was this thing of there's not a lot of women in tech. And now, do you think that has changed?
Yes, of course, it has changed a lot. It has. So I think people recognize that gender gap, right?
Yeah.
And aside that, I feel like representation also matters a lot, because it creates that sense of possibility that there is another girl or lady who has almost similar experience as I have and able to do this, right? So I
Yeah.
just feel like a lot of some organizations discover that gender gap and discover the need for this. And apart from Girl Lead, I know that there are other organizations out there who are
Yeah.
actually helping and
Yeah.
giving opportunity to girls. And
Yeah.
I have worked with I work with female software developers. I work with female designers. One of the best designers I've also I work with good people that are females, and they really know their onions, right? So I think the gap, like I feel like it might not be like completely like equal,
Yeah.
but it's like a lot of improvements compared to how it was before, right? A
Yeah.
lot of improvement. And I think I really like that. I think yes, there's a lot of difference, and the gap is actually like it's better than before. Grateful to all the organizations that are out there helping girls and making them feel like yes, it's possible for them to also be part of the male dominated fields, and they can do great things.
I think one of the things that I want to explore with some of the women I speak to in this project is there seems to be, so there is some data actually that there are a lot of women get into tech, but when it now comes to scaling up, like moving up the ladder for lack of better terms, or growing their careers, the numbers start to dwindle. And there's a question of why. Like, I'm not in the industry, so I don't know. There are different reasons that people are proposing out there, but I don't know from your experience, what do you think that is? Because I feel like the next leg of this problem is not just getting people. There are a lot of programs, and I think that's also one of the things that we're shifting our focus in Curly, where it's like there are a lot of programs to get people into tech. That's good. How do we now get you to sustain that career and use it to drive change? because somehow there seems to be a disconnect between when you get in and when you now start to kind of like push yourself up the ladder.
Okay, so I think we need to look at how it has, like, we need to go back in history, not history though, but I don't think it's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, hear me out. I don't think it's a problem because I have seen women who are actually like moving up the ladder in the career.
Okay.
Reason that this is my own personal observation, right?
Yeah.
The reason I feel that this it feels like ladies are not really moving up is because if years before now, 10 years before now, this is just me using a very random data. 80% of men were already in the tech field, right?
Yeah.
10 years later, those men will be in the leadership positions.
Yeah.
And those 20%, I mean, it might not be as significant if they are currently, like the numbers right now will not be as significant if they are currently in the leadership positions right now. And it could be that maybe there could be change of career.
Mm-hmm.
With the way I am right now, I don't know if in 5 years or 10 years, I don't know. I won't use myself as a critical example because, like, as I said, most times I have goals, and if those goals change and it involves changing career, I'm actually also down for it. So this is like something random. So I'm trying to say that I don't think it's really a problem. Maybe let's come back 10 years after now, because now we have more girls. And if we still see this difference that, okay,
Yeah.
I don't really climbing up, maybe we'll not say, okay, maybe it's a problem. But for now, I don't think, because I've seen ladies who are actually like climbing the ladder. It might not be that much, but it's just because, I mean, we just started getting the ground.
All right, that's good. That's good. There's a question I have which is linked to this around your experience in leadership in the field. Now, we've spoken about ladies are pushing up, and some of them have, like you said, they are growing and they are building their careers. You are one of them that I know. I think it'll be interesting because there's a wider thing of the younger generation are coming up. I know that you are not Gen X. So when I'm saying younger generation, I'm probably mean Y, Z, and Alpha. And sometimes there is that thing of in the career field, in the career space, it's not just technical skills. There's also when you add the fact of gender experiences, when you add the fact of age experiences, things get a bit more nuanced and more interesting to see. Now, a lot of young people are also thinking of leadership, are also eyeing leadership, and some are fortunate enough to get into leadership positions. Now, from your experience, another thing with leadership is sometimes people think it's down to experience. However, you have under 10 years of experience, but you are also in the leadership space. What does that feel like for you? How challenging is this? How refreshing? What has it made you think about? What are the things that you had? Just, I don't know if there's a question inside there, and I think you understand the question. I'm not going to shut up so you can answer it.
So first of all, product management itself, I know the word, that management inside of it. It's leadership without authority, kind of.
Okay.
Because sometimes most of the people that you're managing are your peers.
Okay.
They're your peers, your colleagues, right? But then even as product management generally, I think the thing is finding the balance between being relatable to my peers and providing direction and stability as a leader.
Yeah.
I know that I struggled with that. Maybe I might say struggling with it though, but
were you too relatable or too directional?
I think for the beginning, I was too relatable. Yeah, I was too relatable. I've actually held leadership position, but not in tech. And point, it wasn't because I wanted it. In fact, I feel like all leadership position I've held it's not that I actually wanted it. It just came. No. So at the point, no, don't say what you want to say. I know what you want to say. Thank you. At the point, I remember that a colleague had to reach out to me when I just started at that point. I'm like, okay, he really gave me some really good, great advice. Or maybe realize that, oh, you really need to think directional, right? Need to learn delegation. I was thinking, I didn't know why I should be telling people to do stuff, because we're just colleagues like last week. And now,
Yeah.
yeah, it was actually hard navigating that, right? So I feel like I'm grateful for that, for the advice that he gave me. Like, oh, you need to be strategic. People are thinking of their tasks now. You need to be thinking of the goal of the team 6 months from now. You need to be thinking of what should be happening a year from now. You need to be thinking about the future. You need to be thinking of how to make the same work get done, but in shorter time. You need to think about all of those things, right? So it was like, it was just, or if I was looking for it, maybe I would have taken some, maybe I already would have gotten some resources or
Yeah.
things that would naturally help me. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was like I was learning on the job. So that what it was difficult,
Yeah.
it was difficult for me. But I was glad that at least I had guidance.
Guys. Yeah.
So because you did not ask a direct question, so I don't know if I'm actually answering your question right now.
You're answering actually. You're answering because
Yeah. But is that balance that was like a major problem for me at the time, right? So, but again, I feel like to an extent, I saw a good thing out of it, right? Because if I still relate to them, I would think this is what I would want my manager to relate. This is how I want them to relate to me. This is what I would want them to do. So I bring that same thoughts into how I am currently managing the team that I'm managing. Yeah. So I feel, yeah, there's still like, I mean, it does balance in general.
I think you're answering the question because as leadership, I think it's also tied to the previous one around scaling up. When you start out at the very junior level, you are very head down, bogged down, this specific thing. This is what I have to do. Deliver 10 products, 10 research documents. However, when you start to move from bottom to middle and to leadership, there is a looking up and out. So your ability to be bogged down and then your ability to also look up and out into 6 months, 2 years, 3 years and communicate, understand what is happening at that level, but still be able to communicate that to people who are bogged down.
Yeah.
It's such a thing. And
And
it's so
influence them, sorry, and influence them to do what they are doing so that they are seeing the big picture. Like, okay, it's not just, this is what.
excellent. I was at a workshop on Thursday and somebody asked a question around leadership, why probably sometimes it's so hard to get people to do stuff. And somebody was talking about how, as a leader, we mistake our role. Our role is to create the environment for people to come and play ball. If you create the right field and the right environment, people will just, your job is literally to just create the environment. People will just come and play ball the way you want them to. And there's that thing of, as young people, we are learning on the job, but you can't curtail the number of mistakes that you make. But some people think it's just leadership courses, but there's also thing of like advice from good people around you, having good people around you,
Yeah.
and being able to say, "Oh, I don't know what to do." Because I remember that first role that I was given. I think I was 22 or 21 at that time when I got that leadership position. Very, very different from what I am today. And it was in church, and I remember sitting down with the pastor in charge of the unit. And I was 100% honest. And he told me, you know, you can't speak to the people you are leading like this. I will never forget that conversation. I will never. It was just a lot of things because I was very, very, I'm like that, but now I'm better. Then I was very, I was like, you will drive these people away. And so having that constant, sort of mentorship, for lack of better terms, even when you've not had the conversation to say, would you mentor me, is one of the ways that people can get started. And so sourcing that out for anyone who's young or you find yourself in leadership position or you are dreaming of leadership, it's always a good time to start. Read articles, listen to people around you. What are they saying? Watch people around you. I think that's also one of the things that's helped me. And I'm sure that's helped you as well because you're talking about how she speaks, how she communicates. Just subconsciously, that's helping you level up your work as well and how you show up with the people that you lead. I watch the people in my team, my line manager, people in charge of my team. Subconsciously, I'm like taking notes, and that's some of the training for leadership. That's we are in an age where, which leads me to the next question around AI. You have to start distinguishing yourself a lot more. And there's this thing of it's your behavior, how you move that will help you stay in this career that we are.
Yeah.
AI and the future of product management. I think I wanted to ask you about that because some people are having practical conversations around with AI now, what tools do you use for product management? So there's that aspect. But let's take it up a notch to say, where do you see product management going in a couple years with the influence of AI? And what should young people who are trying to build careers in it be thinking about in this period?
I mean, I think we've established the fact that AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, right? The good thing is AI right now is actually like an augmentor. It's a word like that. And I feel anyone who is trying to get into PM right now should leverage AI as much as possible. There are tons. In fact, I sign up to some newsletters and I feel like I want to unsubscribe because every day there is something new you need to learn. PM AI stuff, PM AI stuff. So I feel resources are out there,
Yeah.
enormous resources are out there that you
Yeah.
can leverage on. Yes, you still need to know your core PM stuff, right? Because
Mm.
product managers are in those AI companies. They are the ones still making decisions on how exactly these AIs are being AI, whatever
Yeah.
into whatever stuff AI related is being used and built, right? So pro management is still going to be very much in based on my knowledge, I feel it's still going to be very much relevant.
Yeah.
But it will be more relevant for those who try to leverage it a lot. Because
Yeah.
I feel when I started my writing PRD and stuff like that, you are using your brain. You're writing it down, the user flow, everything you're doing it right now. And it will take you a while, right? But right now, just with the right prompts, with the right information, you can find out that you're getting this documentation that will take you a longer time. You're getting it in minutes. You're getting it right.
Yeah.
And it's even helping you to learn because naturally there are some edge cases that you wouldn't even know to add, right? And also those times where we'd have to wait for the designer to get some maybe low fidelity wireframe ready for you to show your stakeholders to get buy-ins for some decisions you want to make. Right now we have AI that can help you with this prototyping and make it very even realistic so that they can see actually how this thing is going to look like and decide if they want to or they don't want to. That's how good you can use AI right now. So I just feel like yes, it's here to stay and you just have to leverage it. Like be more AI focused. Yeah. Learn to know how to use it to get your work done. Because if they have two people in the company and one person is using AI, they give you both the same task. This person used AI in getting this thing done in a day. But because you do not use AI, you're getting it done in maybe more days. And there are a lot of things that you're missing out on just because, I mean, we are humans, right? We have limited knowledge, but AI will able to help the person even have better result than yours. You know what the conversation that will be happening later on, definitely, right? So that's just what my advice, just the advice that I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's helpful. Do you have any sort of, and you mentioned PRD, I believe that's product research document.
Product requirement document.
Okay. Product requirement document. Okay. Okay, tools like practical AI tools that you use currently as a product manager that anyone you
Yeah.
probably recommend anyone to start,
And
you know.
okay, so right now Claude is my bestie. Yeah. So for more technical stuff, right? But for deep research, Gemini, I feel Gemini does that for me better, right? And if for prototyping also, I mean, we have Lovable, but to get the best out of it, I think you have to subscribe to Lovable for prototyping. But yeah, there's this AI called Chat PRD. I have tried it several. I think I've tried it, but it doesn't have a free version, and I don't know if I want to pay for subscription yet. But I think
Okay.
that I think I tried it twice, but you have to subscribe. Yeah. Then day to day, ChatGPT is there, but I feel like Claude has a lot more technical capabilities.
Mm.
Personally, I would prefer that.
That's interesting. Maybe I should try. How many person now? We're talking about it with some colleagues this week, and somebody was saying, "Oh, she actually moved to
You can
Claude."
actually build an app on Claude. It will give you the code and
Yeah.
everything, and it's interactive.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interactive also.
Is
Yeah,
it the paid or the free version?
free version.
Are you
Yeah, but there are limitations. There are so much more. But the paid version is going to give you so much. But the free version, yes, you can build an interactive app. Yeah.
wow? Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. I think I have one last question, and it's probably not a question, it's more of a conversation around mindset and mentalities. So for us as women, there is this thing where we believe representation matters. I believe representation matters. But my question is, where do we strike the balance? Because I find that a lot of people hold on to representation too much. And when you don't see representation, it becomes a problem or it becomes a viable excuse to not move forward in the direction you want to move forward in. We do this work and you speak to young women and there's this thing of this hesitance because you don't see a woman, maybe you don't see a black woman or whatever the case may be. And I don't know if that's something to be wary of. I feel something to be wary of. This our thirst for representation. It's good, it matters, but where do we strike the balance at some point?
Okay, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because I was thinking about this thing. Like I noticed something that I was doing,
Yeah.
and I noticed a decision I was making based on something, and I'm like, there's no woman and there's no black person. That thought came, but it kind of made me feel somehow like, oh, should I go ahead with this? Should I go ahead? But no. Now the thing is, I feel we all have goals, right?
Yeah.
And you have to want something bad enough to not be bothered about whether
Yes.
something, whether someone, because I had to do my own self-talk to encourage myself. I had to do my own self-talk. And I think you need to want something bad enough to not limit yourself based on not seeing the possibility of this thing succeeding just because there's
Yes.
no person who you think, who you know, or who you feel like have succeeded in this thing before, right? So it's about you wanting something bad enough to not be bothered. And also, this is corporate space we're talking about right now. And
Yeah.
believe that your work should speak for you.
Yeah.
Be good at what you do. And I believe that good work cannot go hidden, right? It's
Yeah.
cannot go hidden. You will definitely you will see the benefit. There are a lot of ladies. I feel like there are people today who are the first to do something. And just because they are good at it, they succeed. And they're like, this is the first person to do this. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think it just boils down to, do you really want this thing? If you really do want it, I don't think that should be a limitation for you. Yes, there'll be imposter syndrome. You feel like you don't belong. As I am like this, sometimes I still feel like that's a conversation that I used to feel, oh my God, can you do this? You know, it will be there, but you still need to push through. You still need to go ahead regardless, right?
Yeah.
Because I got to realize, okay, maybe it was not me realizing. I don't know, it was a podcast I was listening to. How many percent of people who are up there, it's not like they know what they are doing. Everybody's just winging it. Nobody has the 100% answers. Nobody has 100% answers. It's just the confidence, the confidence that they have. And you need to have that same confidence. You have the confidence and then you really want what you want. You go for it. So I feel like that's where the balance should be. We should not try to limit ourselves because that's representation, even though the representation matters. And who knows, you'll be the one who people are not looking up to and decide, oh, I will do this because this person is there.
Yeah. Because I think personally, I have become quite curious. I would say cautious is the word I will use about the representation conversation because it matters. But I think we also hinge a lot on it. And it's ironic given the fact that I don't live in Nigeria. And sometimes I still walk into rooms where it takes me a while to realize you're the only black person. Even if you're the other black people, you're the only Nigerian. Then you are now young. Then you are now a woman. But I think for me, because I can even say that, and then I had to check myself because I'm like, I grew up with representation in the house. So my mother was the first HOD, female HOD of her department in Uniben. So after the founding HOD, she was the next person. She was the first female AG director, head of the CD department. And she's just, so that's what I grew up with. My father had 4 sisters, and these are 4 women who are thriving in their own different careers and field. And then my mom was one of them. So my mindset was very different. It's when I started growing up and people would say, oh, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, I logically cannot math what you are saying because what I know is different. What I see is different. I think we're having this conversation about PhD with someone. The person was like, so you know that thing they usually say around, don't have a PhD before you are married so that you are not. And I couldn't math it because I grew up with something like the representation that I have is we are living different realities. And so some people would have the subjective enraged reaction to it. But I cannot even get there sometimes because I'm like, I don't understand what you are saying. And so for me, that has given me the boldness and the ability to really not care. It takes me a while to figure out some of these things where I'm like, oh, I'm black, I'm young, and I'm 20%, or there's no woman on the board. Okay. Everybody does not have that experience. Everybody didn't grow up with somebody like that. But I think we need to start pushing ourselves more out of this kind of representation, but be the first person. What's so bad? I remember listening to, I think it was Buka Washika talking about it. And she was, I think, one of the first, I think she was the first, I can't remember what it was. By the time she became chairman of the board, I remember her talking about this picture of where they had her picture up in the boardroom and they had all these men. She was the only woman. And they wanted to put this bland picture. She was like, no, I'm a girl. I'm going to show up. And the girls give that kind of thing. And I don't think that, I think maybe she's had that conversation before. I probably sure my mom probably had that hesitance. It would be having great to have that conversation. But there are so many women out there who are doing stuff, who have done stuff. Arden, Jessica Arden, Lagarde, Ngozi, we are like, if these people stopped and said, I mean, it's good to have the hesitance. The hesitance is not a bad thing if you have the hesitance. Like you said, like you have to, but when you finish hesitating, give yourself
Go. Still go.
we are going. Whether I know it, I don't know it. I'll go and stop for confidence, put it in my
Yeah.
hand,
Yeah.
and I will be going. Like, cause it's really, we are living in an interconnected world today, and there's so much possibilities out there. There's so much pictures of what's possible, what people are doing, amazing stuff that's happening. And if we keep on holding ourselves back because there's no black person in the room, there's no African, let me be specific, there's no African in the room, there's no African, there's no woman in the room, there's no African woman in the room, there's no young African woman in the room. You can see all the
I see.
so I think it's one of the things that we definitely push more with our programs and with our women interactions. And we also, especially for young girls coming up, because you might not see old man. I don't think there's a female in that. When you're talking about those people, I don't think there's a female there. And so somebody might see that and say, oh, first of all, I don't think there's any African in that conversation. We're a full continent of 54 countries. I'm not in that conversation at all. And then somebody might see that and say, I'm not.
If you have. So I think the thing is, as I said, from your own perspective, you got the representation, right? For others who didn't have the experience to see people going above and beyond, even though they feel like they don't belong, kind of, just because of how the environment is, I think it still boils down to what you actually do want, right?
Yeah.
And as I give an example of this AI right now, if there's any lady out there, any woman out there who you feel, oh, I think I can do this, I can. That drive, right? Like, don't water it down, right? Like, keep going, keep going. You eventually find yourself in that room. So it is actually that drive, like you wanting something and then you going after it intentionally. Now, I'm actually saying this because even though it could be just like something very not as huge or significant, I discovered that that is something that I do in my life, right? I have made some decisions that usually you'll be like, you are a girl. Yes, like someone have actually told me that you are a girl. Why you do this? Because I want to. The only reason that I feel like I don't do the other ones, like if I feel like I don't really want to, but if I actually do want to, I'm not looking at all of those things, right? It might not be that significant, but I remember when the person was like, is this your only reason for telling me not to do it? Okay, I'm doing it because I want to do it. So that actual zeal is what's actually going to take you, right? I've actually listened to some stories of Ibukun Awuchika also. And I have heard how she works so hard. She goes the extra mile where she talked about the doors for the banks that she did and all of those things. She wanted this thing. She went extra mile, put in the work. She wanted it. So that zeal, don't water it down, right? In the end, it might not be now, it might not be in 2 years and 5 years, but you find yourself in that room and to know what I Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I feel like that has been a really, really interesting conversation. I think there was a question around community
Okay.
that we're going to touch on because I think it's so important. When you speak about, for example, girl leads, and then you now talk about your friend, I feel like there's a thread of you having people who have your back and then who push you to sort of go the extra mile, do more stuff. Do you think that's vital in this our corporates, whatever it is that we are doing?
Extremely vital. Extremely vital. Just because I didn't want to make the story long, there are a lot of things that I kind of skipped. My first exposure to product management was not when I transitioned, right?
Yeah.
So there is this community that I joined again because I volunteer. I just said, oh, let me volunteer with them. But even before I volunteered with them, right, the people in products, the very first time when I was done with my course in product management at that time, I was looking for community to join. And that was the first. And I joined them on the call. I just had someone say, so they have this, every Saturday, people just come and just talk about how tough PMing was that week. It was really, really lovely to be on those calls. So that was my very first time. And someone was just complaining, the work is so much. He just said, I wish I had an assistant. I just went straight to his DM. Oh, I said, I have my laptop, I have my data. Don't worry. Bring it on.
I love the energy.
Till date, we still talk. We will talk last week currently. So he was giving me my very first practical. I wasn't working on, I work on them studio projects. You just have an idea. My very first PRD I wrote was for a Lagos State government project. And he just had to review. I'm like, oh, he reviewed it. He gave to his stakeholders and they liked it like that. So he gave me that platform. I feel like if I didn't join that community, right, I would have had that. All the interviews that I was now like, he's my mentor, right? So he was coaching me. He was coaching me. He was really tough on me. He was really, really coaching me. He would give me stuff to do and then he critique it, get panel on the call with me to critique my stuff. Yes, he was such a huge propeller for me at that point when I had my interviews, because that was the first time I was doing into product management. So he was helping me preparing for all of that until I got my first job. Like even when I got the first product management job, right? You still will not understand a lot of things. I was still a new, so that community helped me, right? And I know people will say, don't. Aside that, in that product management, I still made other friends. Like I have other colleagues that right now, when you have like an idea at work and you just feel like, okay, I want to brainstorm with someone.
Yeah.
We are on the call. I'm showing him the user journey, the user flow. Oh, what do you think I can do better? What do you think I can do better? Right? I'm currently have a new project that I'm working on and I haven't done something like that. And I know a friend of mine who his current product is similar to that. We got on a call, right? So even if it is not even the same industry, right? But then he was able to just give me the foundation, the structure, how exactly he went about that. Wow. So the community is really important. I know they say your colleagues are not your friend, but I still feel like we can apply wisdom. We can apply wisdom because there are still good people out there.
Yeah.
There are actually people who would genuinely want to help you, who genuinely want to care about you. You just have to still apply wisdom in like leveraging that also, right? So some of them right now, they are my previous colleagues, the people I met in those communities, right? So I feel like if I don't know what would have happened if I didn't choose, and he referred me to some jobs, just that maybe sometimes I did not want to, and I know that I also even got a job offer from an event I went for networking. I went for my first tech event and I saw someone and I walked up to Ezi. He was there scouting. He was there. Yes. The thing is, when he gave me the offer, that was the same week that my company approved my transition from my role to. And then I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I had to, I had to fix that because I mean, it's still the company, and I mean that one had a better pay. So that was it. So community networking, even though I know, because when I listen to stuff, I say you need to network, need to join community. It's stressful, but it's important.
Yes.
Stressful, but it's actually important. I've seen how that has helped me personally, but yeah, you also can. Yeah.
And it can be valuable. I think I didn't want that's such a because I thought at that personally. I don't know. Networking is. I had an event recently, and I had to tell myself on the spot, you need to know how to do small talk, and it's so hard, painful for me personally. But at the event, I had to give myself the pep talk. But that's part of like the networking stuff. You can't just go to events and stand there silent. You have to know how to. Oh, hi, hello. My name is this thing. Oh, that's interesting. I heard your speech. Thank you so much. It's annoying, but you sort of need to do it. But it's really, really. People are trying. I don't think I'm part of any. I think I'm actually part of a professional HR community, and that was because when I joined Girl, I started off as HR, and I decided to just stay because it's really, really quite interesting. But having people to walk you through is life changing. It is life changing. My former line manager, I was doing PowerPoints the other day in the office, and I zoomed in to the design. You know when you put grid lines, horizontal. I zoomed into the thing to make sure that the image was where the grid line was, and I was checking myself like, this is insane. But I remember where I learned it from, and that was the line manager. She literally was the one who taught me everything about PowerPoint. She taught me. And it wasn't just a PowerPoint thing, it was kind of a presentation thing. And it stayed with me and it helped me. And so just having those people, and when you see it, note it, don't toy, and appreciate it as
I
well.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Because
Especially because it's not everybody that really have that will have time for you, right?
okay.
So when you see people giving their time to help you, right? Especially for free. Because right now, I don't know. I don't know if there are mentors that chat, because I know there are some mentorship community out there that you can just go for free. You can get mentors, right? You should
Mhm.
still learn to appreciate them. Apart from that, learn to make their work worthwhile. They're giving you tasks to do. Do it. They say submit it at the deadline. When he was bringing that panel, I didn't know that he was bringing, I thought he just wanted to review it. It wasn't a real project. He just said, think of an idea, write this, do this, and they're going to present it to me on Tuesday. I came on Tuesday and I'm seeing 3 other people on the call. What is happening here? So imagine I didn't take that seriously. Now I wouldn't only waste this time. I waste the time of those other people, and it
Yeah.
would just make him not take me seriously anymore. And who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't have been, it would have helped me for my interviews.
That mentorship stuff, taking it seriously is because I think on one of our programs, we used to offer mentors, but the feedback, the experience the mentors were having was not optimal. And we decided to just redirect that energy elsewhere because we couldn't. You won't show up, you won't communicate that you won't be able to show up. And it's not, these are not characters that you build when you get to a mentorship program. They're characters that you build day one in your daytime, your full-time job. If you will not be able to show up, just communication not be able to show up. Why does it not have to get to a mentorship program before you then start having these issues? And it's like, they are giving you your time for free. Can you at least like communicate respect for it? I understand network issues, power issues in certain parts of Africa because women on that program are across Africa. But it was so challenging we kept on apologizing. We're so sorry. It was insane. And so at the point we're like, yeah, we're going to redirect people's energy elsewhere because you need that sort of one-to-one, especially for technical careers when you're building it. Well, I can't shove a mentor down your throat if you clearly have communicated through your behaviors that you don't want one. So I think these are practical things that help. If you want to grow and you are opportune to find someone who will help you through a learning program, whatever, take it really seriously. Like they don't have to have been. I think people keep on waiting for that conversation of, would you be my mentor, before they understand that this person is a mentor. I have horizontal mentors as like my peers who are my mentors, and I have people who are senior to me who are my mentors. I don't have somebody who we sat down and said, you are my mentor. There's nobody calling that in my life.
Yes.
I think if there's anybody like that in my life, it will spoil the whole thing.
Yes. Yes.
But you are smart enough to pick very quickly. This relationship has an angle to it and not take notes or come with a note pen when we're having conversations. So it's really, really valuable. I think sometimes because our friends fuck around a lot, we don't remember that this.
We don't. You see how I know so much. Yes, I use Claude, but my knowledge my knowledge about the capability of Claude increased because of my colleague. On my calendar, every 7:30 for 3 days a week, 7:30 to 8:30, I have a call with him and he takes me through some of these things. That's why, I was able to know, okay, I can build this interactive stuff. If you recognize, I was one who asked for it because I could recognize from conversations that this person has so much interest in AI. I feel that I was like, you know so much about this stuff. You need to come and teach me. Right. And he's excited to also teach because I feel like it's also a way for him to also learn more because
Exactly.
he had to improve my prompts. My prompts were not as great. Now I discover that, now I can write so great prompts that to give me the result that I want in just one. The terminal, I'm like, wow, this is so great, right? So he is my mentor, even though I have not like physically called him mentor because sometimes we joke, he's my friend, but I try not to take that for granted. Try not to take it for granted. Recognize these people and then maximize the time because it won't last forever. It won't last forever. When the first mentor left the country, the time difference, the work, the change in environment didn't make us to talk so much. But I am glad that while he was here, I was able to use that time and maximize it and get the most of it. So recognize it and appreciate it and then also use it at the time that it's available. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I think we should stop now before this thing gets. But it's been so helpful. I've actually learned a lot from this conversation around leadership stuff, recognizing skill sets around you and maximizing it. And also, I think the value of representation as well. Even though I may be cautious about it, I think it's a reminder that it's still important.
Huh?
So, yeah, and also the good work we're doing at Girl Lead. I think you're a testament that something is working. Something is working. So thank you so much, Ezi,
Yeah.
for geeking out with me about product management. I really hope that people who listen find the value in it, not just in product management. I think these are life relatable skills that anybody at any level in their life can actually take and apply to their career views and also their personal life as well. So thank you.
I'm glad that you had me here, and it's really been an interesting conversation. And I just hope from the laughter, you people are able to pick out girls, like you're able to pick out important things to help you. And this is like a lot of encouragement for you to. We are rooting for you. Thank
Oh,
you.
hi, bye everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.